Hi, everybody. Welcome to the swamp. Welcome back, Dr. Ann, my wonderful,
Hey,
wonderful friend who's been on the missing list for almost a year now. So just dealing
for a
with
long time. Yep,
issues.
yep.
It happens to all of us. Crap comes up and life happens.
It does. Oh my gosh,
And music was my lovely friend
yeah, no,
Julian.
it has been.
That's an older song of his, but this is his newest album. It just came out. It's called Spinning Heartache into Gold.
Oh,
So
cool.
Julian Primo, you can find him on YouTube. He's got a channel. You can see his other music. And I insisted on having his new album because I said, you have to sign it. So he signed it for me. And he's a friend of my son's. He's a
Love it.
wonderful,
Everyone,
wonderful
I'm sorry,
musician.
today's a holiday.
What's a holiday for
I
you?
just have to tell my family members. So when I was supposed to meet with Sherry today, and I was an hour off. So in New Zealand, it's a national holiday today. And for those of you who don't know, I'm in New Zealand, and so everyone, it's first day winter yesterday. So everyone, it's cold, and everyone's on the internet, and it's really slowing everything down. So I just need to message my family members to make sure they're off. but but I'm really happy to be back and see everyone.
So if
So
she
yeah.
freezes up, it's nothing wrong. It's just because
Um,
the internet's in high demand there. So, and just so you
yep,
can find Dr.
yep,
Ann, this is her
yep,
channel. It's also in the description box below. Make sure you go
yep.
like and subscribe. She's got some great videos on there and talking about all kinds of cool
Thank
stuff.
you.
So, and as y'all know, we've all been
Thank you.
talking about Andro Nikki's skincare stuff, which is fantastic.
Cool.
And it's a friend of Mel Doors who started
Nice.
his own company and he does his own skincare. And he sent several of his samples to try. And I'm in love with the stuff. It's fantastic. Um, so it's not a paid promotion. I don't get paid to talk about it, but it's really good, y'all. It's like go to the website,
Nice.
check it out for yourself. And I think the biggest thing that surprised me was I started
Nice.
using it. I've had some age spots that have come up on my cheeks, and they were like really dark, and I have spent a fortune the last few years trying to make them go away, and they don't seem nothing seems to help. And I started using Andros, just the regular daily and nighttime moisturizer with serum. And after about a week and a half, I went to put on makeup one morning and I was like, wait, where did the spot go? It's almost faded out. I was just beside myself. I
Oh,
was so
that's great.
excited. And he actually offers a dark spot remover. It's just been on back order. And but he emailed me the other day and told me, he says, as soon as it comes in, he says you're going to get the first shipment out that's going to you. And he says it's a big thank you for telling everybody about it. He said we've been getting lots of new customers, and they all point to you and say you're the one that they saw talk about it, and so they're there now to order. I'm like, oh, that's fabulous. I said that's the whole point. Get your customers. So a big hello. He's a very
That's so
nice guy.
cool. I love it.
He's a personal friend of Mel's, and so he had sent some stuff to Mel, and Mel loved it and said, I got some friends who will probably be willing to try it if you'll send me some more. So Linda got some, I got some, Arthur got
That's
some,
good.
and we all started using it. We all fell in love with
Nice.
this stuff. It's really, really great. Um, okay, let me see. Wow, we've already got like 60 people in the room. Holy moly, that's pretty good. Um,
Wow. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello.
if you've not
Welcome,
met
welcome.
Dr. Ann before, she is this wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, marvelous lady who
Oh,
teaches at university in New Zealand. So she's like super duper smart, which made me scratch my head about how come she picked me to be a friend. It's like I'm not stupid, but I'm not at her
You're
level.
my-
Let's just be honest. But we were it took some group that Allie from Heart and Soul Connected had put together, and something just clicked, and
Mm,
we became friends, and so we've been friends ever since, and which is fantastic.
yeah.
Anne's had a rough year, a lot of crap going on in her world,
Yep.
and she's finally ready to kind of step back into
Oh
all of
yeah.
this again. And I was like, okay, come on, we're we're gonna do a show. Let's do it right
Yeah,
now.
I
So
was just like, yay, I'm back, you know.
that's
Yeah,
it.
it's been
So
a tough year. We
go
had
and
a
check her
close family
channel.
member
She
pass, another yeah, please
yeah,
do. Please
she
do.
talks about
Come over and say hi.
ET
Like it.
stuff and channeling stuff, ET
Mhm.
stuff, quantum physics stuff. If
Mm.
you're into all of that,
Yep.
Dr. Ann's your girl, man. Let me tell
Yep.
you what. And she can explain it to you in a way that you
Artificial
don't feel like an
intelligence.
idiot. Say again?
Yeah. Well, and nobody should be an idiot. Artificial intelligence, if you're interested in that,
Oh, yeah. There you
yeah,
go.
I'm learning, I'm constantly learning that. Yeah. So,
She knows all that smart
I
stuff,
work,
smart people
yeah.
stuff. So, and
You're
it's
such a
like,
sweetheart.
it just, it's like it baffles my brain sometimes when I meet people that are like just really that intelligent. It's like, what happened? Why did you
I'm really
skip me?
embarrassed.
I couldn't have had a brain like that too, but Spirit was like, no, we got other plans for you. So I was like, okay, and I'll deal with that just fine. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind not being the smartest puppy in the room. So,
I don't either. I'm just a sponge and absorb and then try to help people understand it. I mean, the real researchers are out there, doing their stuff. But
yeah,
where I
I work
thrive is
around them. Yeah,
helping.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
in computer science at work. I work around the researchers and stuff, and it baffles my mind these people that have multi-million-dollar research grants that are doing all of this big thinking, cloud computing, machine thinking,
Yep.
AI, virtual reality, all that stuff.
Yep.
And they'll come to me and say, can you make this file print? I can't make this file print. And I'm like,
I know. I know. It's
how many
so
letters come
funny.
after your name? How many letters you got there?
Common sense and intelligence do not have to go together. Okay. That's what I'm telling you right
Very
now.
rarely
Okay.
do they. Very
No.
rarely do they. So the
Yep.
first time one of them came in, when faculty came and asked me that, I was like, excuse me? And he said, I can't make this file print. Can you make it print? And I
Yep.
just looked at him and I
Mhm.
said, and you have how many initials after your name? And he said, oh, shut up. I'm like, give me the stupid thumbnail. And so I plugged it in, printed it out, and gave it to him. He was like, okay, how'd you do that? I said, that's my secret. You'll never know. I said, you'll have to
I
learn
love
it on
it.
your own. And, but yeah, so I like to rag them. And they know I'm
Of
just
course
teasing
you
at them.
do.
And
Yeah, but
we
it
got a
takes
bunch
all
of
types,
people
right?
here.
Yeah,
We
lots.
got
That's great. Hey,
Elaine,
everyone.
Patrick, Marby, Debbie.
Hey,
Let's
Marvy.
see. Um, Gordy and Knott is here. And oh, look, Dr. Ann's here.
Yeah.
Elaine,
Hey.
Teacher Barbara. Barbara, I'm working on your reading. I'll be able to record it after we're done and then I'll send it to you. And
Oh, that's cool.
Topical Thievery and Bella Dawn, who I just saw
Mm.
in Arthur's chat, and
Mhm.
Maureen and Angel and
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Hey.
Donna and
Um.
Sandy and Ramon is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moon Scarab.
Cool.
Ramon is my co-host one
Hi,
Saturday a
Moonscarab,
month
everyone.
for
Yeah,
the
I see you guys
for the
sometimes. That's
slumber
awesome.
party. He
Yeah,
comes in once a month and co-hosts with me, so that's a lot
that's
of
so
fun.
cool. I love
He's
it.
a sweetheart,
Cool.
and he's a
Yeah.
Gemini too. He just had a birthday, and
Yep. Hey, Debbie. Hey,
and let's see, we
Viviani.
got
Hi. Hi,
Sally,
Maureen.
Maureen, Witchy Garden,
Yay. So
Linda,
happy.
Nancy, Sheila,
Wow, that's awesome.
Leslie,
Mm.
Emily, Artist Liz, who is
Oh,
a
cool.
fantastic artist, y'all.
Yeah,
She
awesome. Hey,
creates
artist
some of
Liz.
the most awesome canvas paintings. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
I want to see them. Anyway, hey,
I
if you
keep
guys
telling her we
haven't,
need to do a show where we can highlight all of her canvas
yeah,
work
I think so too, because I
and
think
let
art's
everybody see
important.
it.
Yeah,
Very much
for
so.
sure. And if she's
Let's
willing
see.
to,
And
obviously, it's a
Todd, my
highly
Cajun
personal
cousin's
thing, art.
here.
Yeah,
Acadian Proud, my Cajun cousin's here, and the
awesome.
artist is here, and
Yeah, I saw that. Hey, Kadian.
Arlene, and
Awesome. Oh,
let's see,
yeah,
Joyce and Scott
yeah.
and Celtic Seer is here. Norm, hey Norm, and Scott. Oh, I already said Scott, and Old Windwalker and Water Lily and Kaylee and thank you, Acadian Proud. That's
Nice.
awfully sweet of you. She sent me a super chat. Or super sticker or whatever they call it for my birthday.
Yeah, that's really
My
sweet.
birthday's in two
You didn't have
days,
to do
so
that.
um,
Super chat
and
thing. Yeah. Ah, happy
yeah, I'll be
birthday.
64. I'll be
Awesome.
64 on Tuesday.
Really cool.
My Tuesday, your Wednesday. So on June 3rd, whatever day June 3rd falls for you, that's my birthday.
Wow, that's
And
cool. So you're a
and y'all,
Gemini. You're a Gemini.
oh yeah,
That's
very
cool.
much so. I've been getting birthday presents galore, and
Nice.
one of the presents
Nice.
I got from a certain gentleman who's in the chat, he sent me a portable uh, crap. Now I can't think of what to call it. Generator, a portable generator, enough that you can like charge your phones and
Oh,
maybe run like
neat.
a cooler or something off of it. And
Yeah.
I was telling somebody about it, and
Oh,
they were like, "Whoa, that's not very cool for a woman to get that." I said, "Are you crazy?" I said, "I live in Louisiana." I said, "Oh yeah, this is the best damn thing somebody could have bought me." I said, I said, because it will get used. Somebody else bought me a tire, electric tire pump. Like if you get a flat, you can plug it into your car and
yeah.
inflate your tire. And so I was like, that's another good thing to have. And actually, I forgot they were on my wish list on Amazon. And when I got them, I was like, why did they send me this? And then I had to go look on my wish list and I went, oh, yeah, I forgot I put that last year during hurricane season.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
put that stuff down. I forgot it was there. Um, let's see, we got Dreamweaver, Beltar,
I actually think that's really cool
Viviani is
present.
here.
Yeah, I know, it's so cool. I love it.
And okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll say names all night long. Melissa and everybody. And
Yeah, cool.
wow, thank y'all for coming and welcoming Dr. Ann back.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited that she's back in the fold
Yay.
and back online. And
Yay. Me too.
we've turned the corner. She's getting healthier
Yeah, I was pretty
and
sick. I was really,
still
really
a
sick.
little puffy in the
Yeah.
cheeks, but that's okay. So
Yeah, that's from medication. So I was really
yeah,
sick
from the medicines. Yeah.
from
And
for 9 weeks, pretty sick, and so and there was a significant death in the family, and it involved a lot of travel to and from the states. And I can tell you some stories about being at the border in this to get to the states. That was pretty scary.
yeah, I
And
can
then
imagine.
yeah, I had to buy a new phone because I was so scared that they would want to look at my phone that I bought a new phone just to have for
A
traveling.
lot of people have been buying
Yeah,
burner phones when they have to
yeah.
travel. It
Hmm.
has nothing but emergency numbers in it, and that's it.
That's it. That's it.
And it's
Well,
like, yeah, I don't blame you. It's,
yeah, yeah.
they,
For a 13-hour flight, so that's one way of 13 hours on an airplane. I made sure I put Netflix on there. I couldn't handle it without some good movies, but you're sleeping most of it. But yeah, I was really, and then we also had a really close family friend pass away from an aneurysm, but he was so at the same time when I was over there, and he was so noble. He donated his kidneys and liver, so he saved 3 people's lives in his death.
I'm on the
So
donor list too. I've got it on my
Dave up in
driver's
heaven,
license and
good
everything.
night,
If I
as we would
croak,
say. Can
yeah, I'm on the donors
you hear
list. If
me?
I die, then they're to use whatever is
Yeah,
usable.
yeah,
If it's still good, you can
yeah.
take it and use it
Oh,
because
neat.
I won't need it. So, um, But I told my son, as long as you don't put me in a coffin in the ground, we're good to go. So you better
That's
cremate me.
me too. I just have to say, when we were doing the interment part, I was just like, that's scary. You're stuck there now. I just want to be part of nature. I mean, I know it's a personal decision, but I decided, you know
Yeah,
what? I don't want to just swim with the fish and, if I'm part of the sand or whatever, whatever. That's fine.
exactly.
I'm ashes,
I do-
ashes for
When
me.
we
Yeah.
one of the first times we really talked about it, he said, "Okay, so I cremate you. Then what?" I said, "Then you put me in a jar and stick me on the shelf or flush me down the toilet.
Yeah.
I don't care. I will be here." You do a burial by
Yep.
sea via commode and just dump pieces at a time and let her rip. And he was like, "Mom, I couldn't do that." I said, "Then find somebody with a boat, go
That's
out into the
great.
middle of the ocean and just dump me in the ocean. I don't care." I
Oh,
said,
water
"Or,
lily,
or
that's nice. Yeah.
oh, thank you, water lily." I said, "Either
Oh,
that or else just stick me in a jar and put me on the shelf. That's where your grandmother is." I mean,
nice.
my
Yeah.
mom had wanted to be cremated as well. And so we got her cremated, and I bought two hand carved rosewood boxes that are
Yeah.
designed to be urns.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
I got one
pretty.
for me and one for my brother. And then we
Mhm.
just split the ashes into each
Oh,
box. And so we each have our own box, although they're together right now because we live together. We've got like a
yeah.
little altar area set up on top of the
Oh, neat.
bookcase,
That's
and
great.
we
Yeah.
like her picture and her urns and her plaque from work that had her name on it,
Mm.
and I'll never
Yeah.
forget the first time I was telling somebody about, yeah, we just split the ashes, poured some in one and one some in the other, and
Yeah.
this person looked at me dead serious and says, "Well, which half did you get?" I went, "Which half did I get?" I said, "What do you mean?" "Well,
Well,
did you get
it's
the top
mainly
half or her
calcium, right?
bottom half?" I'm like, "They're ashes. There's no top and
I
bottom."
know.
Right. They're ashes, and
Yeah.
there's probably
Yeah.
other people's ashes mixed in because they cremate
Yeah.
in the same space all day long.
Yeah.
They don't clean out in
Yeah.
between. So by the end of the
Yep.
day, you got a little bit of everybody that got cremated that day just to be in your jar. And I know this because my
Mm.
last semester in college, I had
Mhm.
finally gotten into a sociology class called Death and Dying. And
Oh, cool.
I was on a waiting list for 3 semesters waiting to get into that
Oh,
class.
wow.
And
Beautiful.
we went one of our many multitude of field trips. We were always doing field trips, but we went to one of the funeral homes and walked through, and they showed us their process and how they do it. We got to go to
Wow.
the morgue where they took us to the morgue, and we spoke with the coroner, and
Mhm.
um, we were walking through,
Neat.
and somebody came by with something, and they opened up like a big freezer door, and it was like just body upon body upon body upon body stacked up. And one of the girls in the class went, "Oh my God, all those bodies!" And they said, "Yeah, we're waiting for somebody to claim them." And they were like, "Well, what if nobody shows up for them?" They said, "Then they go in a pauper's grave. They
Oh, wow.
all get buried
Well,
together." And it's like,
yeah,
well, at least we
okay.
get buried. I mean,
Well, technically, they aren't alone if they're buried together, or if are they buried in their own
I have
plots,
no
or are they
idea.
together in one?
I don't know.
I
I
think it
don't
would
know.
be
Um,
separate. I don't think it'd be. Well, I don't know. I'd
to
have to
be
ask.
honest, I think they cremate them so that because this doesn't take as much
Um,
space, and they could just put them all together, I guess. I don't know. But it was just kind of jarring to see this big freezer door open like you would see in a restaurant or something. And there's just human bodies
humans.
stacked one on top of the other on these
Well,
shelves.
that's a real cultural thing, right? So this
And
gentleman that passed on from the brainstem aneurysm, he has an Eastern Indian and Indian cultural roots in his family. So it was really important for the males to be a part of that cremation process, male family members, and then the other people, like for us. I mean, it's a real cultural thing. Like in New Zealand, in the Maori, they're the indigenous people of New Zealand. it's called a tangi, but they have days of mourning, and the body's out, and people come, and people just mourn, and they allow that real deep grieving to just come
Yeah.
out, and you get called in. I mean, there's this whole protocol to it. And my daughter attended a funeral not too, probably it was the end of last year. That was a Maori funeral, and she said, "Mom, it was the most beautiful thing." And I think, there's some credence to allowing that grieving process and be really present with it, and it be okay in front of everyone else. I mean, I didn't really get the okay part of the grieving because there was so much more going
It's just
on because
different than what we do.
yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
wail and gnash our teeth in public when somebody dies. I mean,
No,
they'd
you
probably
can
put you in a
cry,
rubber
but
room if you did, but,
yeah, yeah. So for
people
me,
I
it's like I'll
mean,
cry in the
people get upset
morning.
and
Yeah,
cry at a funeral, much
yeah,
less or and,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
uh, I'm not the kind of person that cries in public. It's like when my husband died, I didn't cry in front of anybody, and after a
yeah.
few months, there was a few not very nice comments being made amongst the church group that we were in about, well, she's never cried. Does she not miss them? I've never seen her shed a tear, and blah, 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 blah. And my son overheard it
Mm,
and he was like, look, you're not there at night when no one else is. And I hear
yep,
her sobbing into her pillow all night long. He
yep,
says, my mom doesn't cry in public. She'll never cry.
yeah,
And
yeah, yep,
I mean, unless it just catches me off guard, yeah, no, I just don't. That part of me kind of locks down, and it's that's reserved for private time. But and I don't know how we got on such a morbid
yeah.
topic to start out with, but
Well, because I was
everybody
just saying
dies.
what I
We
was
all
saying.
die. In that what that
Yeah, I
sentiment
mean,
said,
yeah,
we all
yeah,
die.
and it's okay. It's okay. And the other thing is, it made me lean into, oh my gosh, I've got probably technically 30 more years of my life, 40 if I'm lucky. You know what?
Yeah,
I'm going to enjoy this bit now. It like allowed me to lean into, oh my God, I've been just kind of doing the daily and not really thinking about what fills me with joy, what makes
right.
me happy, besides getting well again. I'm still not 100%, but I'm just so grateful to be in the presence of such positive, amazing people, online community too. You guys are amazing. I just get so much out of these lives and being with people, and the and acknowledgement of the spiritual aspects of ourselves without in a safe
Absolutely.
place. Whereas, in academia, there's no way in heck I can say that publicly. I've got to have my researcher thinking brain on and that real intellectual like hat on for that. But for me, and that's what I do with my channels, I try to bring them. What does the academic research say about this spiritual thing, and what does it mean, and maybe how can you use it, or how can I bring the stuff that I learned from that research into your life, Sherry, or what can I offer to your community, or and so that's what fills my cup is the helping people. And
Yeah,
well, this is
that's
what I
that's
know. Have
always
you
been mine.
considered
It's
this?
like
And that,
I'm not
yeah,
rich, I'm not
yeah,
super smart,
exactly.
but I've always been like the first one to be there to help you clean up or pack up or
Yes.
watch your kids while you're doing stuff. I mean, physical stuff I can't really do it anymore since I got hurt, but
Hmm.
it's I know how important it is for any time you face a crisis in your life of any kind.
Yeah.
It's easier to handle and go through that crisis if you have people around you
Oh, for
who are
sure.
supporting you.
1,000%.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
whether if they're physically near you or thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
Um, but it's to know that they've got your back. They're there for you, and
Yeah,
that makes a
exactly.
huge difference. And
Oh, and it was so hard not to have my normal phone. I had my burner phone that last trip. So before the first, so you guys, I mean, my mom was really sick. So, and I also had other family
you
members
made
pretty sick.
trips back and forth to the states. What, like 4 times in the past
Three times in 6 months.
year? 3 times.
And I by the third trip I was absolutely, as we say, shattered, but means absolutely exhausted, and trying to keep my family commitments, my work commitments, and my mental health just tanked. It just pull.
Yeah.
And with all this fear-based stuff, especially at the border, I was just like, oh my gosh, I just want to get in, do what I got to
And
do,
people
and then
wonder
get out.
why everyone is so stressed out. It's like we're all under
Yeah.
PTSD. We're all suffering from it. We were still suffering from PTSD from the last time this idiot was in office.
Yep.
And now we were just starting to heal as a whole. I think the country as a whole was just finally starting to heal. And here he comes again. It's like, oh my God. Um, of course,
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I know that it was finagled so that he won. I've been watching several videos with these computer forensic experts, and they have actually been able to do it in testing to see if
environments, that's interesting. Yeah.
and
So I do think we're prepping for some big news sooner than later. And I'm sure many of you
yeah,
are here that look at other channels and things. I mean, this was predicted depending on who you watch, or even if you had a gut feeling. I mean, even just looking at the optics of it and watching it on the news from a foreign country, it appeared that the other side was well ahead. So it was really odd to me
well,
from this
it did, and
perspective. Yeah.
according to the
Mm.
forensic experts, I don't know how many of y'all watch Christopher Titus. He's a comedian, podcaster
Oh,
type
cool. No, I
thing.
haven't.
He's freaking
Mm.
hilarious. I'll
I'll
send
write
you.
his name down. Yeah. Hmm.
Um, yes, Titus is his last name, Christopher
Okay.
Titus,
Cool. Hmm.
and he saw a podcast that had this young man on who's been doing this just major research into the election fraud and how they did it. And so Christopher invited him on his show, and
Oh,
it actually stretched out into two shows that he was on so long.
wow.
Um, where this guy went through step by step by step and had the numbers and the graphs to back it up. He had the PowerPoints. I mean,
Yep.
and you sit and you watch it as he's explaining what you're looking at, and you're thinking, oh my God. I mean,
Mm.
and it was all possible because they had the right people in place that could pull the right strings, people with lots of money that could make sure the machines weren't functioning properly, people that own their own
Mm.
satellite company that can beam down and put whatever they want to put into these machines. It was
Mm.
truly terrifying to see how well they have been able to document exactly what has happened. And there's like 5 or 6 independent nonprofit companies that have started doing this stuff. They're all like doing the same thing, and every single one of them are getting the same results, the same stuff, to where they're literally backing each other up, and they're not working together on it. They're different independent groups, and it was like, wow. Yeah, if y'all get time, got a couple of hours to kill, go watch that podcast of Christopher Titus about the election. It was mind blowing.
Yeah.
So, matter
Well,
of fact,
and I'm
I'll go get the links after the show, and I will
that'd
put
be
the
cool.
description
I'd really
box.
like to see that
And
because facts, you can't dispute facts, right?
exactly,
So,
you can't. We'll write it down. So forget.
but remember, everything is not as it seems with all the media channels and whatnot. And you have to really beware and be really thoughtful and concerted about what news channels you do watch. And there is, if you look up on Google, there is a way to there are ranking tools to say if a media channel is more conservative or more liberal or in the middle, and you just Google that, and it will pull it up, and you can actually tell if the media channels you watch are one persuasion or not, or in the middle, and then you can
Yeah,
say, okay, you can discern what's best for the facts that you need to get, right? And make sure whatever you do, get at least 3 different sources of information and triangulate the data and figure out if it's true or not, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, it's on us because we should just think of them as trustworthy. And now they've put it on
Right.
back to
I
us
mean,
now to
nobody
figure out
wants to
stuff's
think
believable. Yeah,
their election procedures are
yeah,
compromised, I guess would be the best word, but
yeah,
that's exactly what happened.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
They did it in
Yep,
2016. They
yep.
tried to do it again in 2020, but they didn't, according to this guy, they didn't have their parameters of the triggering numbers. It's like
Okay, they didn't
everything
have
is
the numbers
normal,
right.
everything is normal until it gets
Yeah.
to certain levels of the votes, and then it triggers that algorithm and it starts flipping votes and discarding votes, and it was like, holy moly, they
Yeah,
really
and
did a number. And plus, and I didn't even
yeah.
realize it at the time, but
Hmm.
election day, there were over 300 bomb threats called in
Really?
on
Oh my
election
God.
locations across the country. And
Yeah.
they were all,
Wow.
when you look at where the locations were, they were
Mm-hmm.
all in heavily Democratic areas that
Mm.
were predominantly blue. So, what happens if a bomb threat gets called in at your election site? They shut it
Well,
down.
well, they have
And if
to
you
because
want to
it's about
continue to
personal
vote,
safety.
you've
Yeah.
got to go find another location to go to.
Oh my gosh.
And, so the fact that
Mm.
this happened
Mm.
at the same, and it was across the country, it was amazing how many of these election sites had
Mm.
bomb threats called in.
Yeah.
And yet it's never been discussed on the news. There's never been any um, follow up on who was calling these in, where did these calls come from, why were they only, it's like it's taken this long since November for these experts that this is what they do, is just forensic stuff, to be able to go back and go step by step by step of everything that's happened, to now be able to sit back and go, holy shit, they did it. And they
Mm.
can prove it. That's what's, and so it's them trying to keep the information they have untainted and away from the current administration's sticky fingers. Because if they get a hold
So
of it,
that's
they'll
what
get
I
rid of
worry about. So,
it. Yeah.
but the other thing is too, is I think the people that are holding that factual information that um, those people are highly concerned about controlling the narrative, not in a way that it's falsified, but controlling the narrative in a way that keeps as many
It,
people as safe as possible.
yeah, because they've all
So,
been under
yeah,
death threats. Like the young guy that was
yeah.
on Christopher's show, um,
Oh
he
my
was like,
gosh.
he had been working on it. He and two
Hmm.
two other forensic experts. That's what they did for their living. They worked for different
Hmm.
companies. So they were
Yeah,
doing all of this on their spare time.
yeah.
And when they finally put it all together and was literally like, holy crap, they did it. Well, they each had to go to their bosses and say, look, we're going to have to publish this and go public with this information.
Yeah,
We were all told you'll lose your job if you do that. And
yeah,
they
and the
all
other thing
walked
is,
away. They all walked away from their job.
yeah,
And
you
then
know
they
why?
all started
Because
getting death
yeah,
threats because
well,
the
they had to
companies
do
they
it.
worked for didn't want to be involved, and
Yes,
you can't blame
yes.
them,
So,
you know.
another good example of this is getting information to go public, so it's out there in the public, so it's released, so they'll the
I will
the
say, yeah,
darker forces will try to poo-poo those people that release the information, but they're actually safer now because it's been made public and it's out there for the public to consume. Okay, it's
right,
easier to take care of someone, fill in the blank, um, if they haven't released that information, right?
yeah,
So That was for
And
their safety.
these different groups are now
Yeah.
coming forward and they're being very vocal about it so that if anything happens, it'll
Yeah.
automatically set off, you know, trigger
Yeah. Triggering events.
responses. Yeah,
Yeah.
triggering
Mhm.
events to it. The
Yeah.
young man that I watched, like you said, he had to leave his job. That he had a
Mhm.
very secure, high-paying job that he probably would have
Mm.
been in for the rest of his life. He had to walk away from it. He was like he said, it came down to,
Yeah.
am I willing to give up my livelihood to do
Mm.
the right thing? And he said, and so that was very, very difficult choice for him to have to make, which, well, yeah, I mean, that would be difficult for anybody to have to try to
Well,
make.
think about your family and your pension and all that associated stuff. But can you live with
Yeah,
yourself when you're something that heavy? I couldn't imagine putting myself in the shoes of someone having to make that decision and knowing that knowledge.
exactly.
That would just be so
Yeah.
intense. Oh
And
my
and
gosh.
and the
Yeah.
danger that you're in, I
And
mean,
your
that
family and the whole
and your family
lot.
and the
Yeah.
current
Yeah.
administration has not pulled any punches when it comes to letting their crazy wannabe brown
Yeah.
shirts just do whatever they want. Hell, they got them all out of jail and pardoned them, and now they
Mm.
more or less turned them loose on society. I mean,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
there was
Gosh.
a group of these folks that showed up at one of the senators' offices because they were accusing them of hiding protesters in their office. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? And why would that be illegal? If they're not doing anything wrong anyway. Well, these people literally like burst into this senator's office and
Wow.
they put his aide in handcuffs. And this young woman was in tears. She couldn't believe what was happening. And there were other people in the office trying to calm her down and trying to deal with these ICE agents, as they call themselves. But the ones that do this, they have no badges, no
Mm.
uniforms. They wear a mask over their face, so you
Yeah.
can't see who they are. And they
Gosh.
demand
I
all this stuff from you with no warrants, no
Wow.
nothing. It's like,
Yeah.
and
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's really getting scary. I mean, a lot of people are.
So let me ask you a question, Sherry, and folks watching and people watching the recording of this later. What do you do to keep yourself sane and safe in these kind of crazy times?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I had to have a deep meditation because right after
Mm. Yeah.
all of this went down and everything
Mhm.
happened and people kind of came out of the shock of it, there were
Mhm.
quite a few people that walked away. It's like, I can't do this. It's too dangerous for me, my family, my
Yeah.
life. And it's like, hey, I can't blame you for that. You've got to do what's right for you. But
Mhm.
at that moment, I had to have my come to Jesus moment and make the decision, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep
Right.
doing what I'm doing? Or
Yeah.
am I going to do a role reversal and either walk away or do something totally different? And
Mm.
I had a long talk with my guides and my ancestors and was like, I don't
Yeah.
feel it's right to walk away from me, you know.
No,
Um,
that's who you are, right.
and that
Yeah.
was the decision I had to make for me. I don't expect anybody else to make that same decision because they're
Yeah.
not me, and I'm not
Yeah.
them. And I fully respect
Yeah.
their decisions that they've made on
Mm.
their life choices because they have families they have to worry about, or they have children or grandchildren that they're taking care of, or
Yeah.
other situations, or they're naturalized citizens as opposed to being born here, which at
Mhm.
this point doesn't much matter to these folks because they're snatching American
No.
citizens left and right. And
It
so
was it was just
it's like,
really crazy to me being over there, Sherry, because people weren't
yeah,
talking. They were too scared to even talk to each other,
yeah,
even share differing opinions. And I was thinking, gosh, it's changed so much. Because I've been out over here for 25 years or so now. So you know, and I dip it before, I used to about every 3 years because my family was young, come in and visit, and I never had ever once have a problem with going back and getting past the border and coming in for a visit. But this time around, I've never been so freaking scared in my life, and I did everything to make myself look boring and normal when I was crossing the border. But it was interesting.
And even that's not working for a
Yeah,
lot of
and
people.
in
I mean,
February, before it got really bad in February, I went in, and as soon as we came off the sky bridge from the airplane, so it's a no man's land between the airplane, and once you get past the customs immigration officer, then you're in the country and taken care of by the U.S. Constitution, apparently based on law. And so between that no man's land,
I'm
when
listening. Keep talking. I dropped
oh
all my
yeah, you're
cards.
fine. Oh, you're fine. Um, there was a line of immigration officers in February, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. I haven't seen anything like that before, but it was like, okay, kind of smile, whatever. And then you went through, and everything was fine. This time, gosh, I've never seen people so scared in my entire life. And yeah, it was really frightening. So I had my phone off, had it hidden. I didn't speak to anybody. I just kept to myself the whole time, and then I got through the line fine. But then, having said that, I'm a middle-aged white chick visiting. So
Yeah,
I'm, and
exactly. I mean,
I
I
hate to even
come,
say that. I don't even
I
like saying
come
that.
from a
Okay,
perspective of I'm a middle-aged white woman. So
so
they're not going to be looking at me unless I have a weird name or I'm
yep.
speaking another language.
Okay, so here from New Zealand, it's actually made public news, and I have some colleagues that. So first of all, the universities here are telling professors and lecturers and anybody like me not to travel to the United States. So they've withdrawn any traveling for academics to the United States. And
Yeah,
also, there was a travel editor in New Zealand. It's in a newspaper here, so it's public knowledge. She went in because her surname, her last name sounded funny and sounded different. They stopped her and made her go through, and she's a travel writer, so that's her job, is to travel all over the world, and stopped her. Let alone all the other stories that you're reading and seeing, like the one that you posted about the gentleman from Denmark who was going to get his
yeah.
citizenship
And he was a
there. Yeah,
Trumper. He was
yeah.
a massive Trumper.
Oh,
Big,
wow. Not anymore.
and
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, well, that did you a lot of good, didn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Stand back, stand by. Yeah. I'm reading
it,
everyone's comments here. And Artist Liz,
yeah,
I
I've been
paint
trying to,
right. Yep, that's right, Artist Liz. I get it. And I do that too. And I just they're very respectful here of me and my accent, but I've been here so long that I'll come out, and you'll notice here online too that I'll say things that sound not quite American because they're Kiwi words and things and expressions. But they're very respectful of me and my coworkers and things and my friends here, but I have had hate crimes done to me here, but they don't classify it as a hate crime because I was American. So it was
yeah,
weird being an immigrant as an American to another country and having to go through that whole thing. So it made me really feel, and it makes me really feel, and I can't even imagine. I try to put myself in other people's shoes just to be compassionate and empathic and all that kind of stuff. But I was just like, man, the stuff that's going down stateside. Students aren't showing up to school because they're scared,
yeah.
of a
We had
particular
a couple of months ago,
heritage not showing up.
right
Yeah.
after the
What's that?
inauguration, when they started all this crap,
It's crazy. Sorry.
one of our faculty let everyone know
Yeah.
that one of his foreign students,
Yeah.
whose father had suddenly died,
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
and the student was like terrified to go back to India to mourn his father and attend the funeral because he was almost through with school. He only had a few months left before he got his PhD. And he
Oh,
was terrified
no.
that they wouldn't let him back in to finish his
Yeah.
degree. And so,
Yeah,
when the professor shared this with those of us in the office, and all I could think of is, what a choice to have to make in your life. Do I go grieve my dad who passed away, or do I have to stay here so that I can finish my schooling that I'm almost done with? Now
yeah.
they're starting to take away students' visas and to make them leave.
That
You know, they're
drives me
doing that to
crazy.
Harvard students.
Well, can I tell you something? This
Yeah,
whole Harvard thing is setting a worldwide precedent because the whole world is watching. So now people are going to alternative countries to
yeah,
complete, like, and like it's usually a 4 year degree in New Zealand. It's 3 years to get your degree in New Zealand and 4 years in the States for most
yeah.
degrees in New Zealand. And then, of course, if you're doing medical, whatever. But I think now people are thinking, what's the use of going into that much debt for the potential for me not even being able to finish at that institution
Or
and
getting
then be saddled with
grabbed off
that
the
and
street
then
and sent
and
to
then
a
put
third
into
world
jail
country.
or something.
Yeah. Um,
It's
I
just
mean,
crazy. So I mean, so I think we're watching the demise of universities is what I'm thinking. Yeah,
oh,
it's
absolutely.
gone.
They
I
can't
think I
stand
think
higher
people are going to
education.
be
With
using
higher education,
no.
that
Yeah.
brings the intelligence level up. It's harder to control people when they're intelligent.
Oh,
They
yeah,
won't
no.
stop people
So I'm sorry to
that
hear that,
don't know,
Maureen.
don't
Yeah.
understand, and
Yep.
they don't care. And
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's really, I mean, it's getting scary. It's literally, you
Yeah.
find yourself walking around trying to disappear as you walk around your campus or your city or your grocery store or whatever. You try to not stand
Hmm.
out in the crowd because you don't know who's in the crowd. And, if you say or do
But
something the slightest
yeah.
bit off, what guarantees do you have you're not going to suddenly be surrounded by
Yeah.
these idiots and hauled off, and that's happened to quite a
Yep.
few people. Um,
Yep. Somebody said, oh, sorry, I think it went by super fast. I think it was your Acadian friend. She said that it's a brain drain, and you know what? I read here in New Zealand that 80 tourism to the United States has dropped by 80%.
yeah,
So that's massive. It used to be
and
considered a
that's
safer
around the
place to
world.
go.
That's not
Yeah.
just in your country, that's everywhere.
Well, I don't.
Other
Yeah.
countries are issuing travel
Yeah.
warnings to their
Yep.
people to not
Yep.
go to the United States because we're no longer considered safe.
Yep, and I think New Zealand's about ready to issue that. They have a warning, which is, we can't guarantee your safety in some locations kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a orange threat or an amber colored threat. But I think they're getting ready to say no. And I think Australia said no already because they've had so many instances.
He
Um,
stayed here, Amanda. He didn't go home.
okay, yeah.
After speaking
So,
to his family and with several of the professors, they all decided it was safer for
mm,
him to just stay put and just fade into the background until he got his degree, which he just got a couple of weeks ago, when the
mm.
semester was over. But still,
I'm
it's like,
sorry to read that, Gordian, and Debbie. I'm sorry about that. It's just freaking nuts, is what it is. It's just crazy. Just
yeah, I
that
mean,
that kind of stuff just makes my blood boil.
they've been steadily working at destroying the education system for the last 50 years.
Well, it started
Um,
with the books, right? And I know Teacher Barbara saw the books thing in Florida and all that kind of stuff,
oh,
and then
yeah.
it just started, coming out, and true to typical fashion, let's just do 20 million things simultaneously and confuse everybody. While we do that, we're just going to tank something over here, right? So,
And that's
which
the
is
whole
straight,
point, is to create
yeah,
chaos so
yep,
that
mhm,
everybody's focused on the
yeah,
chaos happening over here
yeah,
while they go over here and very
yeah,
quietly destroy something else. Um, and so
yeah,
that's a lot of what is really, really depressing with all of this is that
hmm,
as hard as we try to keep up with what's happening, it's almost impossible because you literally, what better way to formulate an attack than to have your people spread out and then everybody's given the no, okay, at 1:02 p.m. tomorrow you're all going to go out and create your own chaos moment, and it's happening across the country all at the
Yeah.
same time, all the different people, and it's so chaotic that nobody can keep up. And you've got the press crowd that are now owned by these oligarchs, that are pushing a lot of this stuff. So you've got major news organizations that's not reporting on the news, or they run around and chase ridiculous nonsense like it's some major thing, while the major thing is over here happening in plain view, and they just ignore
Mm.
it like it's not happening. And
Hmm.
it's like, okay,
So,
it,
can I also say too, Sherry, that the whole thing that's happening in the States, remember, there are scholarships that are to international students worldwide and so forth. So, in our newsletter for our university here in New Zealand, we have to comply with their DEI requirements in the United States to obtain that money. So
yeah,
now our executive is scrambling, trying to figure out what the heck. This is actually the antithesis of our constitution, which is called Te Tiriti o
exactly.
Waitangi. So it's just like, what do we do? There's an ethical principle here at stake,
Our
but we
university
want,
had to do the same thing. They had to shut down our
yeah.
Office of Diversity and Inclusion because our governor is MAGA.
Well, I have to tell you something. I met somebody at a bar at an airport. Can you guys hear me okay? I think I
Yeah, yeah.
froze. Okay. I met somebody at a bar at one of the airports that I had to travel to and from on the way out of the country. And this gentleman worked at a local state college in California. I won't name names. He said, we just took those jobs and put them in different places and we're still doing stuff. I'm like, okay, I got it. Stuff that's
Yeah.
not allowed, but they're able to kind of unfold it disguised as other stuff. So there are kind of little actions of resistance, if you want to say that, or
Yeah. Oh, I know
or
our
yeah,
faculty, not just in our department, but across
yeah.
the university,
Hmm.
went in total meltdown mode about the first week of February,
Oh wow, I
when
bet.
all of a sudden they started shutting off all of the grants and everything. I mean, you got the people that are in the middle of vital research that can't stop in the middle, or else the entire project is
Is
null and void.
tanked. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd
Yep.
have to start over from the beginning. And I mean, literally daily, we were getting emails with, okay, the latest word from Washington is blah blah blah, while our director, just in our little school within the university,
Hmm.
was trying to deal with our faculty. Most of our faculty are foreign.
Mm.
We've got a lot of foreign faculty that we just
Well,
hired.
here for a better life, and they're
One more
actually
new
experts in their
faculty.
field. What's wrong with being an expert in your field? I mean, they had a lot just to even get over the language barrier and be considered parts of this academic community in the states.
Yeah,
They had to overcome twice as many hurdles as just the average within the states. You know, English is their first language kind of person. So
exactly.
it's just messed up. And then that's the whole premise of the United States was bring your tired, poor, whatever, and we'll give you a new life. What was that motto? I don't know. You guys know the motto I'm talking about.
Yeah, Sandy wanted me to pull a
Oh wow.
card on,
Okay. Yeah.
because I think that was the other big thing, is that
Mm,
when Kamala lost,
mm,
and everybody on the left just was like, "Oh, well, it looks like we just really just didn't do well," and blah blah blah, and everybody was like, "No, wait a minute, this isn't right. Something is wrong." I mean, the people knew it, but you couldn't get leadership to do anything about it, and so it was like, and again, that's been my biggest question, is why weren't they willing to step out from day one and say, hold up, math ain't math in here, um,
mm. Yeah.
it is, and especially after I watched this young man in his graphs and showing, what they've discovered in their process of trying to determine exactly what happened and how it happened. It's like, holy crap, you're telling me that all these smart people that are sitting up there didn't see this? I mean, you have
Well,
folks that's not even involved
mhm.
in the political process across the country that within a day or two was like, something's not connecting here. This isn't matching up.
Mm.
So, um,
So I think we all need to think about how we function in a system which is corrupt inherently. How can we change that? Because it's something about the system enabled all this, aside from the obvious,
well, the first go round,
untruthfulness
we,
of the
we
whole
went with
thing.
him.
Yeah.
Everybody was like thankful. At least we were able to
Mm.
withstand what happened the first go round. The
Yeah.
systems held, but they learned a lot in that process. And then they had 4 more years of being able to sit back and figure out how to get around everything. And it's like, is the system going to hold this time? I don't know. I mean,
Mm.
I keep getting told it's going to get a whole lot worse
Well, that's the
before
thing.
it
I
gets
mean,
better.
that's the
I
thing.
mean,
Luck favors the prepared. I put that in the comments, but everybody's just got to do what's right for them and their respective families and be prepared for anything.
yeah.
I mean,
Like
be
I've been
prepared for
telling
anything.
everybody, because my guides have been telling me this since
Mm.
November. Make sure you have a couple of months worth of survival money in cash in your home somewhere where nobody knows where it is but you can get to it like that if you need it. Because what if they decide to shut down the banks? What if they decide to shut down everybody's cards? You can't use your card to the ATM or anything like that. Or shut down the banks. You can't even get in the bank to go get your money that's sitting in the bank.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
And
so
nobody
as we,
deals with cash
yeah.
anymore. Most people, everything's on their card or their phone.
Mhm.
What if they turn that off?
Mhm.
Then what you gonna do?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, just be smart about it, people. I mean, I don't want to
Sandy,
gender
I do.
fear, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
would.
it's like I just drew 3 cards on Sandy's question.
Mm, yeah, what was it?
Card
But
up
yeah,
was death.
answer her question.
First card up was
Mm.
death. So that's representing
Which one is
change,
it? Okay, change.
death. That's the first one that came up.
Oh wow, good lord.
And that's change,
Mm.
end of cycles,
Yeah. Hmm.
transformations, but new beginnings as well, because I keep getting told it's going to get a lot worse and you're going to lose more rights. In the end, it's going to work out, but it's going to be a while before we get there. So we got to be prepared
Yeah.
between now and then.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
and then I got the King of Swords, ambition, um, authority, authoritarian almost, and very ambitious in the process. And of course, now you've got him. He's like, I
Mhm.
mean, for years I've been watching him and saying he's everything I see this man doing is exactly what my mother did with dementia. I mean, like
Oh.
day to day, perfect, exactly alike.
Oh, really? So,
And yes,
yeah.
I
Oh,
watched
wow.
my mom go through all these phases
I
with
remember you
dementia,
telling me. Yeah. Mm.
and I'm seeing him. I've been
Wow.
seeing him now for the past couple of years, steadily going down
Yeah.
that line. Um, Now his newest thing that he's out there saying is something about, well, Biden died in 2020, and that's just a clone that they've got pretending to be him. You know, it's like, what? I mean, and just some
Yeah.
of the ridiculous
Okay.
things. Um, it ends with the Eight of Swords, entrapment, imprisonment, restrictions, self victimization. That's what the card stands for. These are the 3 cards that I just drew on Sandy's question. And it's like the only other card I can think
Wow.
of would be worse would be if we got the tower in there with it and the devil. But What's the next?
Wow, that's insane. So there's a really famous
Consciousness.
author. Have you heard of her, Dr. Bandy Lee? Do you
Oh
guys know about
yeah,
her?
oh yeah,
She's the one that came out at Harvard, Yale. I can't remember, guys. I don't know which, but she ended up. She's a psychiatrist,
she
and
psychiatrist. Yeah, she was the one that tried to
yeah,
get the entire society to say, okay,
yep,
we're all looking at this man and we can see what's going on, and they couldn't get people who weren't willing to step over that line for their own fear.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
as
spiritual
she, if
garden.
you,
That's why these
yeah,
nonprofit groups that's been doing this forensic stuff, most people don't even know they've been working on this because it's been very, very quiet because they didn't want all of this noise coming in as they're researching and figuring out how it was done and then recreating it step by step with the exact same results coming out is what happened in the election.
hmm
And it wasn't just our election in our country. They did it with other elections in other countries that had
hmm
questionable results.
yeah,
And it's hands down, it's showing exactly how they did it. And it's like once this comes out all the way and people realize what the hell happened, I mean, you want to talk about a revolution or a civil war? Yeah, there's going to be some really pissed off people. I mean,
well, yeah. Just look after yourselves. I'm definitely inform. Information is also your what's the word, armor, right?
yeah,
Information is your
absolutely.
armor. So and factual information, not just information
See,
that
yeah,
comes from
don't just
somebody who's
believe
not.
anything you hear.
Yeah,
I don't care what side of the aisle it's on.
yeah,
Double check your
yeah,
facts on it. You know,
yeah.
is
Just
there
just
more
make
than one
sure.
source on this?
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
uh, uh, you have to be careful. You have to make sure. You
Yeah.
have to be able to
hmm
watch.
I mean, what we worry about where I am is the shipping lanes. During COVID, people stopped shipping things to, meaning like big tanker ships,
Yeah,
right? And container
yeah,
ships to New Zealand because we're out in the middle. We have the biggest water border in the whole wide world, right? It's so geographically inconvenient. Nobody wants to come here really. And, to take a 13-hour flight one way to get to this place is real pain from the stateside, right? And that's from LA. I can't even imagine it from other parts of the United States and then getting there, getting to LA or San Francisco, and la 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 la. But
yeah.
so they have a real culture here, and we were in this country. We're isolated greatly in World War II because there was the World War, all in the Pacific. All that happened there. The threat, Japanese, and at
Everything
the time,
over in Europe. Yep.
yeah, everything happening in Europe and New Zealand, was heavily involved in that, and NATO allies, and NATO came about after that, but we're allied with Australia and America and all that kind of stuff. It was still big threats. Lots of people died in ships and things, so all that kind of died down.
Oh, yeah.
So if something broke, you had to fix it. You didn't have it at all. So what was funny and interesting, that kind of was a hangover when I moved here whenever it was 25 years ago. So I mean, I would easily, if my iron broke, I just go get a new one. I wouldn't try to fix it. Or something went wrong on the element on my stove, I was just like, we need a new stove. My husband's like, no, we fix things here. I'm like, okay. And I felt really weird and wasteful because I just had that mentality, go buy a new one, it's cheaper, it's new. But they're all designed to break anyway. But the
Yeah, they're not
whole
made to last
mentality.
forever like they used to make stuff. They're made to
Yeah,
only last
yeah.
3 or 4 years and then it breaks and you
hmm
got to replace it. They
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
called number 8 wire, right? Because it's a country of farmers basically here. It's all ag.
Yeah,
It's all in the middle of nowhere and a lot of sheep, right? And some people. Only 5 million people, I think, is what we're at right now. So, so
there's
it was just.
than there is in the whole country. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was just like, okay, so there's that mentality here. If something happens, we can sort it out and we can fix it, kind of thing. But I'm thinking, gosh, do we have to get prepared again? Do I need to get my garden really humming this coming summer to make sure it's okay? And
I
I've
would,
got food
I
and
mean,
all those that just the
um,
safety thinking, to keep my family fed and to keep. So
exactly, because
yeah,
we don't know, I mean,
yeah,
hopefully something is we're going to be able to
mm,
not just put a stop to it, but take back control of the House in the midterms.
yeah,
And if we, once that happens, then that gives us a lot of leverage as far as doing what's necessary to protect the country as a whole. But it's just like been this false narrative for decades now that they've been pushing about, well, if you want everything to work right, you want a businessman to run a country. No, because this is not a
yeah,
business, it's a country. Its goal is not the bottom dollar for your board. The goal is to take care of your people and protect them.
yes,
Two totally different
yeah, yep,
concepts between a
mm-hmm,
business and a government.
yep,
Um,
yep,
for people to accuse fellow Americans
mm,
of being suckers and losers because they joined the military to protect their country,
mm,
or who call Americans leechers and moochers and whatnot because they're on Social Security or disability or Medicare. It's like,
mm,
excuse me, I have paid into that program my entire life. That's an
yeah,
insurance policy. And now
yeah,
I'm collecting my money back. That's what that insurance policy is for. And
yeah,
you're damn right, it's an entitlement. I'm entitled to it. It's my money,
yeah,
and if you're not gonna give it to me in the monthly allotment that we agreed to when I first started working, then I want every penny
mm,
back
yeah,
in lump sum with interest of what it would be in the current going rate.
yep,
You can cut my check right now and you won't see or hear from me again.
yeah,
You
yep,
know, and the fact that people are being made to feel like they're less than because they're making $7.25 an hour and trying to keep a roof over their head and feed their kids.
yeah,
You want to tell me where you can survive on 7.25 an hour? I mean, that's ridiculous.
yeah. Oh, so I was watching this gentleman who's a mathematician. I've got his name somewhere. He talks about how America is no longer a meritocracy, meaning if you work hard and you do the grades and get the educate, you can get into Yale and Harvard. But no, you can't. The top, he has a statistic, and this is actually true. The people who get into those schools are part of the families of top 1% of wealth in the United States.
yeah,
And then the also the legacy. So meaning if your family members went, then you have that bumps you up in the queue or the line to get into that university. Whereas in the UK, it's very different. It's based on your skill set. And yes, okay, if you went to private school, you're a leg up. And then with the exposure and the support systems in to get into those higher level schools, but it's still based on your merit or a meritocracy, right? Oh, based on your good skill set, you can get in. But here it's not. It's on who you know and the wealth. And what's interesting is that 1%, all those kids or young adults went to private schools, and guess what? $75,000 is used per year on that student's education for private schools in the United States versus a public school student for their school year, which is about $12,000 a year. So right away, based on those resources, who's getting the better education, because it's totally not equal.
yeah, no, I mean,
Yep.
one of the big pluses for our country for the first 150 years that we were here was the fact that our educational system was a public educational system
Yes. And
and
it was
everybody
renowned.
had the
Yep.
right to get an education.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
No
Mm.
questions, no, none of that
Yep.
nonsense. Yeah, there were private universities or private academies for people who got the money to pay for it, and sure, they probably got better stuff and whatnot, but it's still, I mean, Florida used to have one of the best public education systems in the country back in
Oh,
the
neat.
60s when I lived.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, they
Yeah.
taught on the Montessori method.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
you know,
Yeah, it's
and
good.
it was
Yeah.
top notch.
Yeah.
And, but how do you control the people? You dumb them down. You take away their education. You take
Yep.
away their ability to critically think and ask questions about any situation that is put in front of them. If they can't, if they can't, Richard Wolf is another good person to follow there, Debbie. He's he's yeah, he's another one that's real plugged into what's going on. Um, but it, it's watching the steady dismantling of our public education for the last 50 years so that every generation is coming out of high school dumber than the generation before. I mean,
Yeah, that's
back
crazy.
when I was in high school, we still studied civics, they would call it, or uh, government classes. I mean, we actually had classes that taught us how our government worked
Yeah, civics.
and what the steps were. And you have representatives and senators currently serving right now who don't know how our government system works. They have no clue. And
Yeah.
it's like, how the hell do you get
Yeah.
elected to that kind of position and not know how it
Yeah.
works? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind boggling to me. You have people that, oh, well, he's the president. He can just make it. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. The president cannot spend money that has not been allotted to him to spend by the Congress.
Yeah.
And the Congress is who tells him how much money he can spend, where he can spend it, and who he can spend it on. And he can't
Yeah.
change any of that. He has to
Yep.
do it exactly the way Congress told him to do it. And he has no
Yeah.
access to any other monies after that. Um, but you get a lot of people that have no clue with that.
Yeah.
Case in point, where we used to live before, there was a neighbor who would always argue, oh, well, the president just make a decision and do it. I'd be like, that's not how it works. What do you
No.
mean it's not how it works? And I one day literally stood there and explained to him how the process worked. And he was
Mm.
like, oh, how come they don't teach us that? I said, because they've been making y'all stupider and stupider every chance they get.
Mm.
They quit teaching this stuff. I mean, you used to be able to go to college and get a college education, which was a real coup, and you could work part time and pay your way through college. You not anymore. Now you beggar yourself for the next 40 years to go get a degree that probably ain't going to get you that job anyway because somebody's daddy's going to pick up the phone and say, hey, my boy's coming in to apply for that job, and they get it, regardless.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's crazy.
the dumbest chick on the shelf, and they're going to get that job, because daddy
Well,
picked up the phone and called it.
it's
So
it's a very complex web too of policy, Sherry. I like to think of it. You know how you've all seen a really loosely woven cloth where you pull on one string and then the other strings get pulled with it, and then it makes the cloth look awkward in shape, but all those other strings go
yeah,
along with it too. I think we're looking at a wonky piece of cloth now that had a lot of different strings pulled in a lot of different directions. So what we think we had as a system of balance and governing and education and taxation
yeah,
is just nuts. So I
exactly.
don't
I
I
mean,
mean, I'm just saying that's just an
we
observation, but I don't know how to
we've
fix
got
that.
the
I'm
largest military in the
Yeah,
world, and
yeah.
we can afford to give them $1 trillion plus to spend on God who knows what. but we
Yeah.
can't afford to feed kids that are going hungry. There's something seriously wrong
Yep.
with your system when you start denying your people food and shelter and health care. I
Yep.
mean,
Exactly. People have a right to be able to work, to live, to to eat,
we shouldn't have to
and be in
work
shelter. Yeah.
until we're
Hmm.
one step in the grave before we
Yeah.
can even think about retiring.
I can't
Um,
tell you how many people I know have died, like, they retire and then within 2 years they're gone. I'm like,
yeah,
and they're hanging on for that date, like, that's their date of freedom, and then their bodies just collapse because they're just so
it's
sick.
like I got 6 more years to go so I can get
Yeah,
max amount. So if I can get
yeah,
max Social Security and my max retirement from the state, God willing, we still have retirement left. Um,
yeah.
I have to work until I'm 70. So that's 6 more years to go. I mean,
Gosh,
like, I hope
that's
the hell I can
crazy.
last that long.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is where the multi-generational families are becoming so common in one household because it's
Yeah, I mean,
impossible to
you
get a
got
house.
me, my
You've
son,
got
my brother, his son,
yeah.
we all live
Yeah,
together.
I've got my children living in the home with us, and that's becoming more and more um, common
They're
here, even in
going
New
back
Zealand. Yep.
to
Yep.
generations living together under one
Yep.
house.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
lost that. So,
Yeah.
well, guys, we've been at this an hour and 16 minutes, and I don't want Dr. Ann tired.
Thank you. And
Years back, and
yeah, no, I appreciate it. But it's really lovely to see you all, and we can talk all kinds of subjects. Artificial intelligence. I do a lot of
oh yeah,
research on that at work, or we
we'll be
can talk
back, y'all.
about
Don't worry.
ETs and
I'll be yanking her back over here as many times as possible.
yeah.
This just worked out well because she had a holiday. Because you got to remember, Dr. Ann's in the future. She's a day ahead of us.
I'm a day ahead of you. It's Monday.
The future. We're the
Yep.
past. And so uh, this worked out. My Sunday, I'm off, and she had Monday off where she is because it's a holiday.
Yeah,
So
it's a national holiday today, and probably in Australia too. It's the king's birthday for those of you. I'm like
oh
I'm just
no,
happy to have
we
a day
got our
off.
own. That's
Day off.
we got our own. That's just for the kids to have a birthday parade. Which,
Oh, okay, good.
oh my God.
Yeah,
And
yeah. No, it's so
yeah,
lovely to see everyone though. And if you haven't been to my channel, I resurrected all of my old videos. I muted everything, but now it's all back up. And I intend to start doing some more publishing of videos. And I do little
there you
snippets, like
go. There's
5 minutes,
Dr.
enough for a cup of
In the
coffee or a
description
tea. And
box.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I appreciate it, and I love hanging out with Sherry. We can talk for years. So
Oh
yeah.
God, yes. Get us on Facebook
I
Messenger,
know.
and we're both talking to their phones or like beeping at us, dying, dying, dying.
I know.
Um, we literally will talk for hours on end, and I love it. So that's
Yeah.
you don't make many friends like that in this world.
No,
When
that's great. I'm grateful for Sherry. She's awesome. One day
Elaine,
I'm gonna
we've
come
got all
visit.
kinds
So
of stuff on
yeah.
AI, on ETs,
Yep. Yeah.
on quantum physics, on
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
physics, all of that. Yep. Yep.
all that
And
stuff. Like I said, this is a very smart lady we're talking to here,
thank you.
and
Awesome.
one of the
Yeah.
warmest, nicest,
Oh,
friendliest, most loving person I've ever met. So,
thank you. You're amazing, Sherry. I
and
love you too, girlfriend. So,
oh,
and
darling.
thank you all for joining us today. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. This was just like a
Yeah.
hangout session. We didn't really have anything planned. And
No, we didn't.
I was like,
Yeah.
well, what are we gonna do? I said, we're gonna hang out and talk.
Hi, Celtics here. Yeah, no, yeah, and then it's
Instead
really
of it
awesome to
just
see
being
my
the
old
two of
friends.
us, we're gonna have a room full of people talking with us. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
Sunday
great.
night. Who cares? And I got the next
Exactly.
2 days off, so I took off
Nice.
extra time for my birthday. I told my boss, yeah, no, I'm not coming in Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah,
It's
that's
my
cool.
birthday weekend. Forget it. I'm not gonna be there. He's like, oh,
Nice. That's awesome, Sherry. Have an awesome
I'll still have
birthday.
the
We wish you
email
all the
up and
best.
running in case of emergencies. I could
Yeah,
respond.
I know. Yeah, I know. I'm the same way.
And
Awesome.
But well,
Cool.
thank y'all for coming and hanging
Thank
out and
you.
spending your Sunday night with us. Thank you for the warm welcome to Dr.
Welcome.
Ann as she makes her
Thank
way
you.
back into the fold.
Oh, thank
She's
you.
no longer hiding out from us as she recovers.
Yeah, thank you.
Because when you're
Awesome.
recovering, man, you don't have the energy
No,
to even
no,
do
you
as
don't.
much as you may miss it. You don't have the energy to do it. You
No,
know,
yeah, you're right. I
you
was
really don't.
exhausted.
And
Yeah. Mm.
so
Yep. Cool.
appreciate it very, very much. And I'm so glad you came on with me tonight.
Thank you,
This is
Sherry.
great.
Me too. Thank
I
you
had
so
a
much,
blast.
everyone.
Thank y'all
Me
for
too.
letting us just chit chat and chit chatting with us.
Yep, for
And
sure.
this was fun. So, and we'll do it again soon. I
Oh,
promise.
of course. Yep, absolutely.
We'll find another weekend we can get together and do this. So,
Perfect.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And y'all have a great evening. For those of you who have to go to work tomorrow, sorry.
Yeah. Basically, all of
I
us.
get to sleep in. Sorry.
Thank you all so much. Also, awesome to see you all. Yeah.
There you go. So, all right, everybody. Y'all have a great one. Bye for now. Let's see if I can make the
Bye.
pop ups go away and end everything here. Okay. Bye.